local elections as fucking hard as I have since Trump's come into power.
Yeah, what the fuck happened there? Come on.
Okay, so
what the fuck happened there? We have a very Republican district that was gerrymandered to be so. It's not going to last forever, though. They don't realize that, that it's not going to. And sadly, there were some polls that said that he had the lead, but I just did not believe it. I really thought for him to win, he had to win on the initial, because the first election they had,
he needed to win.
He was like the only Democrat, and there were a bunch of Republicans. So they split the field, and sadly, if you don't get 50%, you're out. And he got like 49, which is the exact same amount he got at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And Kara Handel said not only that people don't deserve a living wage, she said that gay people want to adopt shouldn't be able to adopt. It doesn't matter because it's Georgia.
Of which they have said that in Texas that gay people can be turned away from adopting now, which is sad enough its own regard. But I mean
it's a definitely backlash against the gay marriage being passed, and now that the Republicans cheated and got an extra Supreme Court guy,
even in Christian-dominated Renaissance Florence, they had the concept of gay people being married-ish. Like, it wasn't like an official state-recognized marriage. But it was like their marriage. It wasn't a Catholic marriage, but their families treated them as if they were married, and Renaissance Florence had this shit figured out, and that's not even pre-Christian Rome, where they totally did have gay marriage recognized by the state. No, it's just like Renaissance.
I was looking for a fan real quick because that just reminded me of Vittorio the Vampire from Anne Rice. Lordy, you want some sex happening, man? That's there's a lot of Florence fucking going on in that book. Same sex as well.
Well, that's to end that, I'll just say Karen Handel's name, and that'll be the end.
Yeah,
because they made a big like the Republicans were trying to say, "Hey, we elected a woman for the first time," and of course, her being so super Christian fundamentalist, I'm like, "Have you read First Timothy, where they say women should not lead?" So you obviously don't believe that crap. No. You were told it. Only the stuff that people listen to.
Religion. This is what I've said a million times. The Bible was never designed to be the arbiter. The Bible was designed for people to be able to use it as a tool. Preachers to use it as a tool. It was decided on by leaders.
Yeah,
it was decided on by.
How pissed they got when people learned how to read.
Yeah, it was. They were
the fact that it wasn't in Latin anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the Council of Nicaea were a bunch of men in power going, okay, what's the most useful? Like, that's what they did. So the Bible was never supposed to be, you live this by its book. The religion follows culture. Religion follows culture. That's how the Bible was decided upon, and that's how it's been used ever since. It is absolutely arbitrary to be like, yeah, but the Bible disagrees with you, because nobody gives a fuck. That's not how religion has ever been practiced, ever.
Yeah, the people who wrote it and the people who originally read it, it was not. They didn't take it literally.
No.
Now we try to take, but they only take parts of it literally. They can't take it all literally. The part where you can't eat shellfish, the buffet.
But Paul had a dream. He had a dream where there was no unclean thing on the planet, and just whatever.
I mean, he had 13 letters, and everybody's like, yes, 6 of them are bullshit. Oh, but keep them in the book. That's cool.
But
okay.
The Bible, but if we look at the way ancient cultures felt about metaphor, they didn't live in the concepts like we do now, where because of science, motherfuckers, which you all rely on and use regularly, we have concepts of literal, provable truths and concepts of metaphor. We've clearly parsed these out through our culture, and that's a good, useful thing that we've done. But now we have to go, okay, we have to define these ideas. But in the ancient world, whether it was literally true or not didn't matter. That was not the fucking point. They didn't care if it was literally true. If you go to an ancient person and you're like, there wasn't a literal flood, they're like, I don't even know what you mean. Like,
yeah, no, they didn't even have a concept of
other places.
Provable truths.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have a concept of provable truths. It was the experience that mattered. It was the experience of the story. It was the story that mattered. Whether it was true or not was irrelevant. And that's why the Bible, people are like, that's why they pick and choose which parts are metaphor and which parts are real. Because the Bible, the stories in the Bible were not composed of literal or metaphorical truths. It wasn't the issue. The issue was the message.
Okay, so
what do you mean it's all allegory?
Getting back from the patch of blueberries we find ourselves in here real quick. Yes. Karen Handel, deep in the blueberries. I want to let everybody know that if you want to hear like an in-depth thing about this, go listen to Serious Inquiries Only. Thomas Smith did a recent episode where he talked about, hey, Democrats, you need to not be so sad about the fact that we didn't win any of these special elections that happened. Because it was a really good episode, because I've seen a lot of people being very fatalist about this, where we didn't win any of the seats in these special elections. Oh, you might as well fucking fire, what the hell's her name? Shit, what's her name?
Everybody?
Nancy
Pelosi?
Nancy Pelosi, yeah.
It was Pelosi.
Yeah.
Like, Nancy Pelosi's good at her job. She's very fucking good at her job.
She's doing good. Yeah.
Sexist. Oh, and how about the argument that we should just not be using women because then the Republicans will be sexist? Excuse the fuck out of me.
I just love how there was a lot of people on the right where they're like, Karen Handel's a woman, so therefore all of you libs should, be voting for her.
Oh,
it's like,
my God.
Yeah, we should support Michelle Bachmann. I mean,
hell yeah. Doesn't matter if she's an awful woman.
Holy shit! Who was the lady that was? I'm not a witch.
Oh shit!
I don't remember.
She was running in was it Delaware?
It was just fucking
amazing.
It
was Delaware. I can't remember.
She didn't win, shockingly.
It was like 2012, and the fact that we had to have a candidate come on and say, "I'm not a witch." It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this country?
Are you sure? Are you really sure? Do you float?
So anyway, we bring this up only because in the 2016 election, that seat in GA06 was won by a Republican. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was won handily, like 23-24%.
Price. Yeah, the guy like running our medical situation now. The guy who basically makes money off of it.
Yeah,
it's great. You can just totally
Gross.
Here's what the government is now. Just make a lot of money off your job. Wait, that's not what it was supposed to be.
No,
but that's what it's now.
But we're talking like a 24% like lead over the closest runner that was going against him, the Democrat that was running against him. And in 7 months or 6 months, whatever the fuck you want to say it is, when he was inaugurated January 20th, so we're about 6 months past that, or 5 months past that, I should say. And we have somebody almost squeaking by with the win. And there's all these people saying like, oh, well, we don't do participation trophies anymore. You don't get credit for not winning. It's like, guys, look, you managed to make a swing from it being 24% to like 1.5%.
That's a huge deal.
Especially
like, those are statistics where you can convince people to vote your way and win.
Especially when that's a very heavily gerrymandered district. You can ask Zach.
Yeah,
I'm sure he knows.
Yeah, it's like currently like 16% African American, and the Republican side's ignoring the fact that that's growing, and that's not going to last forever. And it was a very woman-led like group that got Ossoff as strong as it did. Yeah, they threw a lot of money at it, but why not? I mean, they didn't throw any money in South Carolina or Montana and Kansas. There were 4 very Republican districts that had elections.
Yeah,
that's
heavily,
how they do it.
Heavily
in H1, it ended up being more Democrat votes than before. They just didn't win. And people noticed the win part, but you got to notice the fact that more people showed up. People are going to be more active. People are pissed. People are protesting every single day. So it needs to be that way. It's not a one battle. It's going to last a while. And that's awesome.
There was an average between all of the races that happened, an 18 percentage point swing. If that carries through into 2018, Goodbye, GOP. I mean, seriously, get the fuck out. I mean,
women of color are going to save this country.
I hope so.
White
There's
women.
going to be another election in 2 years.
Less than that. It's going to be.
I know.
Oh, yeah, it's already started.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I know more white women than the majority. Like, okay, I know white women in a majority voted for Trump, but I know that there's more white women in this country that didn't vote and did not vote for Trump combined that would beat those white women who voted for Trump. I know it.
I vote for who my husband says to vote for.
Yeah, no, white women, you've got to step up. But women of color are going to save this country. But seriously, the future is fucking female. Step the fuck up. You've got to do this. Every great revolution has started with women. When women finally get pissed off, that's when shit gets good. It's actually true. That's when shit actually changes.
Yeah, the pussy hat should have told you something.
Women, that women's march was glorious and beautiful. It was everything we need to be. Get the fuck out there. Get the fuck out. And white women, you are particularly responsible. All right.
So Zach,
particularly,
one of our listeners wants to know, what was it like living in a district where there was a $50 million political ad blitz? Like, I mean, what was it?
Oh, shit.
It was, nonstop. I think you remember the national nightmare that was the presidential election. Imagine it going 6 months further. That's what happened in Georgia because the Republicans kind of quit for the initial election, which was like 2 months ago.
Like the runoff
that happened, Ossoff didn't, get the 50% he needed. So when Handel got, it was like, oh man, everything I looked on YouTube, it was like the ad before was going to be political ad. And it never was really anything about Ossoff. It was like, oh, he's associated with, and they'd show the people rioting on election day in D.C. and like Nancy Pelosi. Nothing to do with him because Ossoff was very in the middle. Like Ossoff was not.
He was not the poster boy.
Yeah, he was not single payer. He was trying to reach the Republicans who were like, oh, yeah, you're right. This woman who's basically she was in Planned Parenthood and was trying to get rid of abortion. Maybe we shouldn't, go for her. She's just making money off being a government employee.
Yeah, we shouldn't give anybody a livable wage.
That was a good attempt. Yeah, I know, the livable wage quote. But at least Republicans are being honest now. I don't know. At least tell us what you believe because they're in such power, they might as well. And hopefully that'll lead to a downfall. But it's going to be tough because I mean, you can listen to the Thomas Smith episode and go, yeah, we're improving. But if you don't have those results, then people are going to really be down because you just follow the tweets from Trump. It's just like, you got this unhinged, crazy dude in presidency. And like, how did we get here? Like listening to, I can't remember. It was like, just like all the jokes about him running for president like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it happened,
and he won.
And that's because people didn't step the fuck up. The reality is the people who believe in change sit there and go, "Oh, it doesn't matter if I vote. Oh, it's fine."
Yeah, half the country stayed at home.
And they sit there and claim that third party votes are just as good as any other vote. And look, I get it. You want an ideal world where you get to vote for the person who best represents your values. First of all, I don't feel like you're analyzing the candidates properly if you thought Jill Stein was a better representation of your values because she's completely ineffective. But if these people sit there and they don't care, they care in the day-to-day, like they care about gay rights and they care about equality, they care about women, they care about people of color, they actively try to be a part of the solution in their day-to-day. But when it comes to voting, they're bogged down by the numbers.
Yep.
They don't understand how the numbers translate to individuals. The reality is that they do.
Yeah.
They do translate
really
to individuals.
Do, yeah.
And it is a good system that still puts responsibility on the individuals to step the fuck up. The reason that these counties have been gerrymandered is based on voting history, not what the people do in their day-to-day. that means that there are a lot more people out there who believe in these progressive ideals just because they're working, just because they make sense, because they're provable in a very basic sense. Like, we don't have to we don't have to go deep to go gay is fine. Like, you really don't have to dig deep into ethics to get to gay is fine. And so these are people living their day to day, doing good things, being good people who just got lazy.
Yeah.
And that's a human thing. We get lazy all the time. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, fuck you for being lazy. But you know what? When you find out you're being lazy in a thing, you have, and when it matters to everyone else, you're allowed to be lazy on the dishes. All right. Every once in a while, most of the time, you're allowed to be lazy on the dishes. When it affects more than you, you have a duty to step up. And people have not properly been taught their duty. But I think that this has been a real dramatic awakening.
Yeah. It should be.
So
how much they're
we'll see if it is.
Our very good friend of the program, Dan Ellis, had this posted on his Facebook wall, and I think everybody needs to take heed of this. It says, Dear liberals and independents, in 2020, there will be a candidate competing against Donald Trump for president. It is very likely that this candidate, 1, isn't your first choice. 2, isn't 100% it's a long word. Ideologically pure. And number 3, has made mistakes in their life. 4, might not really excite you all that much. 5, and has ideas that you are uncomfortable with. And he says at the very bottom here, please start the process of getting over that shit now instead of waiting until 2020. And I think that's where we have to be, even for all of the Bernie bros that are out there. And I'm not talking about ideologically pure kind of people out there, but his wife is currently facing charges of fucking, corruption and stuff. Like, as much as that we may love the guy and love the message that he has, he's just like all the other fucking politicians out there. Know
what? If you were in that situation, you would just be just as conflicted.
Yeah.
You think you're so morally pure. You think that you could never be conflicted. You know what you believe.
Yep.
Step the fuck up and try and face it, because you know what?
I'm greedy as shit.
Yeah. When you are faced with moral conflicts of gray areas, it gets a lot fucking harder.
Yeah, it does. Especially, yeah.
Really, yeah.
So anyway, man, I'm glad that I don't live in your neck of the woods, Zach, because that would have been... Well, at least we know most of the Republicans usually win around here, but, at least it was a squeaker. Yeah. I have to say, at least it was a squeaker. At least it was close. It wasn't a fucking blown out of the water kind of thing. Because if I would have saw that Karen Handel won with, 20% of the lead, I'd be like, well, fuck, I guess we're not going to make any changes when it comes to be 2018 in the midterms and stuff. But it was like a 2% change. A 2% difference between the two. And it's that made me go, whoa, we're going places, because that's a heavily red district.
That's dramatic.
So even places that are borderline right now, even if you were to take let's say we're not going to take the 18% change that's happened in the country. Let's just make it like a 5% change. That means that if there's a 5% change in a lot of the battleground places that we had, if the United States, the places where Trump won, if they would have had 5% swinging the other direction, it would have been Trump would have been blown the fuck out when it comes to electoral votes. But anyway, we're digressing. We're going to continue talking about this, and that's politics, man. That's what we do these days, because religion and politics are just fucking intertwined. So there's no way to avoid it. So yeah, good job, John Ossoff. Good job running against that despicable fucking lady.
Galaxy.